discussion. We've had a huge budget outlay for smart cities in this budget. And because it's a part of inclusive growth, it's a part of sustainability. You've had a question on smart cities before, and therefore it seems only right to talk about smart cities. So in this perspective, I want to take you to the year 2008, from where the concept of smart cities has come. So in 2008, when the world was facing its worst financial crisis, and I'm saying this, the world was facing the worst financial crisis, the IBM came up with the concept of smart cities. And then by the time 2009 came, they started talking about smart cities in the context of initiatives taken to make a smart planet. No, they were not talking about anything much except that they wanted to take communication and information technologies as means of basic infrastructure as part of smart cities. I repeat, they wanted to take communication and information technology to serve the purpose of the basic infrastructure of the city. तो आप सिटी में बेसिक इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर क्या ढूंढते हैं? आप घर ढूंढते हैं, आप प्रॉपर पानी ढूंढते हैं, आप ढूंढते हैं कि आपके पास बिजली रहे, ट्रांसपोर्टेशन के मीन्स रहे, और आपको जिस तरह की सुविधा चाहिए वो आपको मिलती रहे. पर आईबीएम का ऐसा कहना था, and because you know IBM makes computers and is in a big way involved in information technology and in digitization, it came up with the concept of smart cities and said that yes, we need to make a smarter planet by using information technology and communication as building blocks of smart cities. So smart city किसको कहते हैं? That city which works is called a smart city. I have taken this article which came in 2016, was an article which was published in the Hindu. After that article, you got the mains question on smart cities. And again, Hindu has written an article on smart cities. So hopefully I have hit the head of the nail, and you might be getting smart cities again. But well, then it doesn't really matter, because as part of as the syllabi, I need to cover it for you, so which I will. So I was reading that what is a smart city, and they say that a city that works is a smart city. So a city that works is a smart city. A city that works is a smart city. Now this smart city works for whom? The smart city obviously works for people. So any city which works for the people, any city which works for the people, is a smart city. Now, what works for one might not work for the other. So some people will choose a metro like Bombay or Madras or Calcutta or Bangalore because they are looking for business. They're looking for manufacturing units, because these are metros and you get a very big market. There might be some who are like you, students who are looking for it educational city where there are educational institutions. तो अगर आप स्टूडेंट है तो आप सबसे पहले क्या ढूंढेंगे कि आपको अच्छे पढ़ाई की जगह मिले, फिर आपको रहने को अच्छा मिले, और आपके पास साइकिल होगी तो साइकिल चलाने के लिए आपके पास अच्छी रोड की सुविधा होनी चाहिए, एंड ऑफ कोर्स बिजली तो होनी चाहिए, बिकॉज उसके बगैर आप रात में पढ़ाई नहीं कर सकते. सो दैट कैन बी योर एस्पिरेशन. A senior citizen might look for a place which is quiet, more culturally developed, but his or her priority would be the health system. So there can be various reasons why you use or choose a particular city over the other. So what is that basic DNA of a city? The basic DNA of a city. The basic DNA of a city varies for what might be your need. What might be your need for the city? अब भारत को आप देखिए, ऐसे तो जो आपके सारे वेस्टर्न कंट्रीज हैं वो सब डेवलप्ड हैं और सब अर्बनाइज्ड है, वहां रूरल पॉपुलेशन तो है नहीं. पर भारत के लिए कहते हैं कि हमारी 31% जनता, दैट इज 31% ऑफ द पीपल इन इंडिया are living in the cities, and the contribution that they make to the GDP is to the tune of 63%. They say by 2030 We are likely to reach 40%, although one of the newspaper articles said 40% also, and said by 2050 we are likely to go up to 75%. But just let's keep what is written on the smart cities mission this thing site. So on that site it's written we are 35 31%, and in urban areas contributing 63% to the GDP, and by 2030 we're likely to be 40% and contributing 75% to the GDP. In other words, it means that the villages or the rural areas are getting entirely dependent on urban areas for the purpose of economics, or that we in a big way, like three-fourths of the urban population is contributing to the economic growth of the country, and not so much is coming from the rural areas. So the rural people are going to use urban centers like what? Like places of economic prosperity. They're going to use these cities as bases of economic prosperity. Now, there can be two reasons why people from the rural areas shift to the urban areas. Now, what is those two reasons? One is called the push and the pull factors. There are two factors. One is the push factor and the other is called the pull factor. अब आपके पुश फैक्टर क्या हो गए? कहीं पे बहुत ज्यादा बारिश हो गई, फ्लडिंग हो गई, उससे सारी फील्ड्स और आपके क्रॉप्स खराब हो गए, आपके पास कुछ नहीं है, आप शहर की तरफ चले आए. कहीं बहुत बुरा ड्राउट हो गया, ड्राउट की वजह से आप फार्मिंग नहीं कर पा रहे, आपके पास कोई ऑल्टरनेटिव सोर्स नहीं है, इसलिए आप शहर चले आए. So these are all your push factors. Or maybe there's a communal violence in the city. It leads to a max exodus of population to the urban areas. Another thing is that there are pull factors. Now, what are your pull factors? Your pull factors can be that you want to go to the urban areas for the purpose of employment generation. You want to go there for higher studies. You want to go there because you would need a corrective health infrastructure. So these are your pulling factors. Because of a better infrastructure, more employment opportunities, more educational institutions, and higher educational institutions in the urban areas, people want to shift from the rural to the urban. Now, if you look at India's growth of urbanization, it has been very haphazard. It has been hampered. There is no conclusive plan. Reason being that way back, about 20 years back, there was one plan for urban planning, and after that, nothing has come about since then. So this RU-urban, which is called the RU-urban or the rural urban, is actually a very scattered concept. Earlier on, it was considered to be negative, or it was considered to be bad for people to migrate from rural to urban areas. It was considered as a sign of being impoverished or being below the poverty line, to leave your land, your agriculture land, and come to the city areas. Whereas for others, like in the Western world, urbanization is a concept which coexists with the farmlands, which are providing you with whatever need be in terms of fodder or crops, or because there's a lot of dairy products in the West. So there are basically big dairy farms also there. So unlike the West, for India, urbanization has been haphazard without being motivated by any policy. And therefore, you find that it has taken place in bits and parts. There is an overburden, an overdensity of population in metros, and those metros are growing without proper infrastructure. Whenever the monsoons hit in a big way, you find massive flooding across all metros, be it Calcutta, be it Bombay, be it Madras, be it Bangalore. Reason being that these have become centers of flash floods. Why are they flash floods? Because the basic sewage system of the city is not put in place. And whatever has been constructed now is being done without following the contours or the natural topography of the city. तो अगर कहीं पर ढलान है और आपने वहां पर जाकर के नाली कंस्ट्रक्ट नहीं करी और उसको पेव कर दिया, अगर आपने उसको पूरा कंक्रीट कर दिया, आपका पानी बहने का कोई रास्ता ही नहीं है. तो जब भी आप स्वीज सिस्टम बनाए, ड्रेन्स बनाए, आपको नेचुरल ड्रेनेज सिस्टम उस सिटी का देखना चाहिए before putting it in place. But this has somehow, unfortunately, despite big municipal bodies with abundant funding, this has not taken place in the context of India. Now, I'm going to first talk about the world view of smart cities and then come back to India because, well, India is India and we will still be talking about it. The world view will help you understand concepts in a big and better way. So when we started talking about the growth of urbanization and the growth of cities, I talked about the various reasons for which the cities had come up, and everybody had a different motive to come to cities. But the overall reasons is that it should be livability. Second is it should be sustainable. And of course, it should be eco-ability. Now, if it is not livable, if it is not sustainable, if does not help in your economic growth, it is not likely to be a city where you would like to live. Already told you the history from where all this has happened. Now, let us go to what they have said about the kinds of smart cities in the world. So there is a model, there is a study done by the Penn University in which the professor has talked about how the smart cities can be clubbed. Now, why smart cities became important in India is that on 25th June 2015, on 25th June 2015, what was launched by the Modi government is called the Smart Cities Mission. So in Smart Cities Mission, it was decided that 100 cities across India from these 36 states would be chosen and each would be given an outlay by the center with a matching outlay by the state. And then there would be funding. I will give you the breakup. And then these cities would be developed into smart cities. So according to the then definition of what is a smart city are those that use new information and communication technology to solve pressing problems. I repeat, smart cities are those that use new information and communication technology to solve pressing problems such as housing, transportation, and energy in urban planning and governance. I repeat, smart cities are those that use new information and communication technology to solve pressing problems such as housing, transportation, and energy, also contribute in urban planning and governance. So smart city is actually more of a buzzword kind of thing. If you really think that, this is what is a smart city, then it would not be so. But there are models in the West which actually congregate or actually match the concept of a smart city, and we'll just see what those are. So that 100 city or mission or the 100 smart cities mission, which was launched in 2015 as on date on the smart cities mission site, and you can also log in and check it out. They say there are 6,809 projects under the mission 100 smart cities. Okay, there are 6,809 projects which are at the cost of 189,737 crore. 189,737 crore. Out of these, how many are tendered? Tendered stage में है आपके 6,222 projects. और जब आप इम्तिहान लिखिएगा उसके पहले आप इस साइट पे वापस से चेक कर सकते हैं कि इसमें कुछ इजाफा हुआ क्या. ओके, सो ये 6,222 प्रोग्राम्स टेंडर्ड है एंड इनका वर्क ऑर्डर इशू हुआ है. एंड हाउ मच द कॉस्ट इज दिस? 164,886 crore. Okay, these have been tendered. Okay, then 3,480 projects have been completed. And this is at the cost of 59,077 करोड़। तो अगर आप समझिए तो करीब करीब 60 करोड़ रुपया खर्च हो चुका है 3,480 प्रोजेक्ट्स को पूरा करने के लिए. दिस इज अंडर द 100 स्मार्ट सिटीज mission. We will talk about some of the schemes which have been clubbed together under the smart cities mission, but as of now, remember this. So the smart cities, according to the Penn State study, all smart cities are clubbed into 4 categories. So there are 4 categories of smart cities. इसमें उन्होंने सबसे पहले लिया है those which are called the essential services model. First, essential services model. अब essential services model में क्या होता है कि एक मोबाइल नेटवर्क पर सारी सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करने की कोशिश की जाती है उस सिटी द्वारा. तो चाहे वो हेल्थ हो, चाहे वो इसेंशियल कमोडिटीज की डिलीवरी हो, चाहे वो आपको पढ़ाने का तरीका हो, एक मोबाइल नेटवर्क पूरी सिटी को कवर करता है. और ऐसी कौन सी जो ये डिजिटल इम्प्रोवाइजेशन हुआ है, जो ये सर्विस प्रोवाइडर हुआ है, इस तरह की जो सिटीज होती है उसमें बहुत ही बेहतर कम्युनिकेशन इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर होता है. So such cities which have an essential services model have a good mobile network for delivery of services. They have a good communication infrastructure. They put their money in a few infra projects. मतलब ऐसा नहीं है that they start running after various infra projects. They put their money in a few infra projects. And which are these cities? इसके एग्जाम्पल कौन कौन से हैं? इसके एग्जाम्पल है आपके पास टोक्यो एंड कोपेनहेगन. Tokyo and Copenhagen. So Copenhagen is in Denmark and Tokyo, of course, the capital of Japan. So that should be clear. So this is the first is your essential services model, जिसमें जो मोबाइल नेटवर्क है वो आपका बेहतर काम करता है. यहाँ पर कम्युनिकेशन का इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर बहुत बेहतर है और ये लोग बहुत हाई तौबा नहीं करते. They don't enter into many fields. They concentrate on a few infrastructure projects and build on that. Now, why I'm telling you about these projects is because this is not listed in the usual kind of notes which are available for smart cities. And when they ask for your viewpoint on how you can build a smart city or what is it that should go into a planning of a smart city, you have to talk about these concepts and say that this is what is happening worldwide and this is what is also needed in India. And that is the only reason why I'm giving you this background. You will be able to write only 1 or 2 lines for that. But I think it is very important. You will be seen as a well-read person. All right. Now, what is the second part? The second one is called the smart transportation model. It's called the smart transportation model. Smart transportation model. आज क्लास में कम अटेंडेंस था कल के क्लास में and you've been asked to attend classes. I don't like to lecture students because I think they are always thinking of what is best for them. But I just want to say this, that, if somebody is giving you their time and we are giving you our time, and it means those people care for you. They really want the best for you. So if you're not able to use that time, that's very really unfortunate. And come to think of it, preparing for a lecture is not easy. Given the circumstances, I know this is voluntary. I know we want to do it for you. But if you are not there to accept what we are giving, it's just very sad. So I would encourage students that, if you're not following this, if you're not in a pattern, it's going to be very difficult for you to sit for such a big exam. And it is a big exam. It's a life-changing exam. Not all of you are even going to make it even after your best efforts. But if you lag behind whatever input you are getting from anyone, uh, it's not in your interest and it's not in our interest either. I want to tell you that some days, I'm dreaming that I'm taking a class, and when I get up, I'm actually seeing Viren sitting and studying at that time. And it can be 3 o'clock in the night, it can be 4 o'clock in the night. And I'm in between office and I'm between inspections and we have to do this. So please, children, I just want to request you for the first step that if somebody is giving your time, they really care for you. So give it the weightage that is needed for them. Okay, now coming back to this, it makes Viren very sad. Okay, now this is a smart transportation model. The smart transportation model is seen in cities like Singapore and Dubai. Now, what are the characteristics of a smart transportation model? Here, there is a huge density of population. So, in certain areas, there is a whole group of people who are staying, who are vying for services, who are competing for services. So, what do you need here? You need a smart transportation model which supplies both services, that is goods, and passengers. So, there needs to be a quick mobility of people so that there is no congestion in any area. So this is the smart transportation model, and there is a huge density of population. So in the smart transportation model, there is a density of population, and you require a lot of input for fast mobility, of transportation and goods. अब ये मॉडल हमारे यहाँ कहाँ काम करेगा? ये हमारे यहाँ अगर यूज होना हो तो स्मार्ट ट्रांसपोर्टेशन मॉडल शुड बी यूज्ड इन द मेट्रोज, जहां पे आप देखते हैं कि बहुत ज्यादा कंजेशन और ट्रैफिक हो जाता है, इसलिए आप बहुत सारे फ्लाईओवर्स देख रहे हैं बनने के लिए. और अभी गवर्नमेंट इज ट्राइंग टू सिनर्जाइज, वो चाह रही है कि मेट्रो, रेलवे एंड योर वाटर ट्रांसपोर्ट all should be synergized together. So that is the idea behind a smart transportation model. Then there is something, I already gave you the example, Singapore and Dubai. Then there is something which is called the broad spectrum model. Broad spectrum model. Broad spectrum model किस पे emphasize करता है? ये emphasize करता है आपके sewage पर, wastage पर, and water management. Water management, pollution control. It sounds like India, so this must be the model for some Asian cities. Pollution control and a high level of civic participation. अब ये इंडिया नहीं हो सकता. हम तो सिर्फ राइट्स के बारे में बात करते हैं, ड्यूटी के बारे में तो कभी बात ही नहीं करते. ऑफ सिविक पार्टिसिपेशन. अगर कोई गड्ढे में गिरा है तो एवरीबडी विल स्टैंड अराउंड एंड लाफ एट दैट पर्सन. कोई भी उसको गड्ढे से निकालता नहीं. एनीवेज, so this broad spectrum model includes issues like, or focuses on issues like water, sewage, and waste management, and it involves a high level of civic participation by the people. Now, which are the countries which are involved? Which are the cities? So you have Beijing, you have Vancouver. Beijing तो आपका चाइना हो गया, वैंकूवर आपका कनाडा हो गया, और फिर आपका हो गया बार्सिलोना, आपका स्पेन हो गया. यहाँ के लोग बहुत हद तक खुद से अपनी प्रॉब्लम सॉल्व करने की कोशिश करते हैं. सो दिस बिकम्स योर ब्रॉड स्पेक्ट्रम मॉडल. एंड देन देयर इज समथिंग कॉल्ड द बिजनेस इकोसिस्टम मॉडल. बिजनेस ecosystem model. Business ecosystem model में क्या आता है? Technology to jumpstart. So such cities make technology. Does this remind you of some city in India? The business ecosystem model? Well, Bangalore is very akin to it. अगर बैंगलोर में आप स्मार्ट स्मार्ट ट्रांसपोर्टेशन मॉडल एक डाल दीजिए, तो ये बिजनेस इकोसिस्टम मॉडल पूरा पूरा आपको बैंगलोर में, cities like Pune, you will get this model there. You can implement it there. I'm giving you all these ideas so that you can think when you write your answer. Okay, so in the business ecosystem model, they provide you technology to jumpstart. तो जितने स्टार्टअप से आप देखते हैं, मैक्सिमम स्टार्टअप्स आपके बैंगलोर में है. टेक्नोलॉजी टू जंप स्टार्ट इकोनॉमिक एक्टिविटी. ये किस किस सिटी में है? एम्स्टरडैम, दैट मीन्स नीदरलैंड्स. केप टाउन, दैट मीन्स साउथ अफ्रीका. And then you have Edinburgh, which is in England, Edinburgh. Okay. So these are your four basic models in which smart cities have been clubbed. Of course, all these cities are abroad. They're not part of the Indian system, but you can see a reflection or close affinity to these models. Now, why is it that smart cities as a concept doesn't seem to be very encouraging? इसमें सबसे पहली बात ये होती है कि जब आप इतना कम्युनिकेशन टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करते हैं, या मोबाइल नेटवर्क यूज करते हैं, या इंफॉर्मेशन टेक्नोलॉजी यूज करते हैं, तो आपकी कोई प्रिवेसी नहीं रह जाती. सो देयर इज वन कॉल्ड एन इन्वेजन ऑफ प्रिवेसी. इन्वेजन ऑफ प्रिवेसी. आप बहुत सारे केसेस देखते हैं. यू हियर अ लॉट अबाउट साइबर क्राइम, which are all related to smart cities. Okay. Then there is what is called a poor data security. There is very poor data security. Then there is a huge power consumption. अब आप समझ जाइए कि जितनी स्मार्ट सिटी होगी उतने ज्यादा आपके कार्बन फुटप्रिंट्स होंगे. So you will have a very high rate of carbon consumption for all such cities. So I don't know if we have to be smarter in terms of climate suitability also. And when we look at these cities, we have to look at it in terms of sustainability also. Okay, so they have a huge power consumption. अब आपका पावर कहाँ से आता है ये भी important है. अगर आपका पावर सस्टेनेबल मीन्स से आ रहा है, जो कि अभी दुनिया में नहीं हो रहा है, तभी आप हर बार कहते हैं कि आप अपना कार्बन कंजम्पशन बाय 50% कट डाउन कर देंगे 2030 तक. तो उसका मतलब क्या होगा? आप कोई भी फॉसिल फ्यूल फिर यूज नहीं कर पाएंगे, बिकॉज fossil fuels are the biggest emitters of carbon dioxide. So there is a huge power consumption cities. Huge power consumption in such cities. Some of these cities make apps, like for example, there is something called a My Town app. माई टाउन ऐप कहाँ पे है? इन्होंने माई टाउन ऐप के बारे में यूएसए में बताया है. इसमें क्या होता है? द पीपल कैन डायरेक्टली कॉल अप द लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन टू टॉक अबाउट द प्रॉब्लम्स. सो सपोज देयर इज अ sewage which is overflowing, or there is a block in a drain, or a tree has fallen on a road. Then they will talk to the local authorities to get it removed automatically. Then there is something which is called a low lines app. A low lines app. ये सारे apps बाहर बने हुए हैं. I remember there was a girl who made an app for how much of carbon footprints you are having in a particular day. What is your carbon consumption? I've forgotten the name of that app, but it will come back to me. It is there in the Play Store. I think she was rewarded for it also. I think it was a teenage girl. I'm forgetting, but she had made an app in India, which was then launched on the Play Store to just find out what is the carbon consumption of people in India. So that can be an example of a smart city app, because at least you're aware of what all you are consuming. So that is an initiative. Otherwise, we do not have My Town apps in India. Now, when we started with the smart cities mission, this was the breakup which the ministry gave us about how the projects will be dealt with. So 24 capital cities were chosen. 24 capital cities were chosen. All right. Then there were 24 business and industrial cities. Business and industrial cities. तो 24 आपकी कैपिटल सिटीज हो गई, 24 आपकी बिजनेस और इंडस्ट्रियल सिटीज हो गई, 18 आपकी कल्चर एंड टूरिज्म से रिलेटेड हो गई, कल्चर एंड टूरिज्म से रिलेटेड हो गई. ऑलराइट. और फिर 5 आपकी पोर्ट सिटीज हो गए, 3 आपकी एजुकेशन एंड हेल्थ केयर यूनिट से रिलेटेड हो गई. So the government of India, when it launched its smart cities mission, grouped chose cities by what is called a challenge method. They chose these 100 cities through what is called a challenge method. And after having selected these cities through a challenge method, they clubbed them like this, like 24 capital cities they took, the capital cities of the states, 24 business and industrial units they took, 18 culture and tourism se related cities they took 5 port cities, and then 3 they took those which were centers of education and healthcare. This was the breakup of which by which they chose the cities. So they say that a smart city is an urban region which is highly advanced in terms of overall infrastructure, sustainable real estate, communication, and market viability. It is a city where information technology is the principal infrastructure and the basis for providing essential services to the residents. So, a smart city is first what? A smart city is first an urban area. इसको ब्रेकअप कर लीजिए आप, ये इसकी कैरेक्टरिस्टिक हो जाएगी. फिर क्या हो जाएगा? Advanced in infrastructure. Advanced in infrastructure. Sustainable real estate. Communications and market viability. Communications and market viability. It's where information technology is the principal infrastructure and basis for providing essential services. These are the characteristics of an urban city. Now, what should they be having? So what we are basically looking at is a city where everything is available at the touch of a button. So if you have an e-account in your bank, you can do net banking. You can get your groceries from a store through an app. You can get your healthcare, your medicines ordered online. You can have a telecom or telecommunication network with your doctor, or you can have a teleconferencing with senior people in your management. You can work from home. You have flexi times. You use shared taxi if you're in a metro, or you use the urban transport system, which is the common transport, so that there is not much congestion on road. If you go to your offices, it is all e-office, meaning there are no papers and no files available. Everybody is just working on the simple computer. And when you get back home, well, I would love it, but there isn't anything like this, where at the touch of a button, a machine would cook your food and give it to you. It doesn't happen like that, or clean your house. But in very advanced cities, robotics and artificial intelligence is being used to carry out the house chores. And sometimes you see it like, in a movie, in a high scientific movie, where you see all these characters roaming about. But for the common man in the street, just a high Android mobile having a basic information about the city also is a smart city by the Indian standards. So according to the definition of the urban city, this is all that should be available. Now, other than this, what should be there in the basic infrastructure? So they should have adequate network, adequate network and data services. Along with that, there should be adequate water supply. अब बताइए इलाहाबाद में वाटर सप्लाई का क्या हाल है, बिजली का क्या हाल है, क्या इलाहाबाद स्मार्ट सिटी बनेगी? बस वो चौड़ी चौड़ी सड़कें बना दिए, बहुत सारे घर तोड़ दिए, तो उससे स्मार्ट सिटी नहीं होती है. And spending crores of rupees on it, crores of rupees. Adequate water supply, assured electricity. Sanitation, including solid waste management, efficient urban mobility, मतलब transportation, efficient urban mobility. And public transport आप इसमें लिख लीजिए, because public transport is the most valued thing. Efficient urban mobility and public transport. Other than that, there should be affordable housing. Affordable housing. So there should be adequate network and data services, adequate water supply, assured electricity, sanitation including solid waste management. ये तो अपने metros में भी नहीं है कहीं. You go to the Mithi River, you will see all solids floating just like that in the water. I'm talking of Bombay. There should be efficient urban mobility and public transport. Yes, my city does have that. Then there should be affordable housing. Never, not in Bombay at all. It's not a smart city at all. Then there should be a robust. अभी आप लिखते जाइए. अब इसमें बहुत सारे points हैं. Robust IT connectivity. अपनी IT connectivity क्या है? अपनी IT connectivity is only Jio, because the government has absolutely ruined other networks. And how does Jio work? Jio works like anything to do with Reliance on its own whims and fancies. So some days you see a complete halt in the network system, and the railways have taken Jios, and so many government organizations have taken Jio as a CUG number. आप देखिए कई बार आप चले जाते हैं, आपको कहीं नेटवर्क डेटा नहीं मिलता. Okay, so there should be a robust IT connectivity and digitization. अगर कोई चीज रोबास्ट बनानी होती है तो उसको सबसे ज्यादा जरूरी क्या चीज होता है? To make anything robust, anything, even this network that we have a conversation over Zoom, we have these classes over Zoom. If we want to make it more robust, we want to make it more stable, or that there should never be a breakdown, then how can we do that? We should always have an alternative to it. So the problem with the country is that we never keep an alternative. So we are always grappling with some issue or the other. तो grapple क्यों करना पड़ता है? क्योंकि हमने कोई alternative arrangement नहीं किया. Now Airtel was very good, but what did we do with Airtel? Vodafone was very good. What did we do with Vodafone? Even in fact, if you आप पहले जब आपका MTNL का था हमारे पास Dolphin जिसको कहते थे, Dolphin was so good, but it was completely ruined to bring in Reliance in the first place. Now, if that is going to happen, then we can never have an alternative technology to take its place. So to make anything robust, you should always have an alternative to it. So IT connectivity and digitization, then of course good governance. Good governance, particularly e-governance. citizen participation. अब citizen participation आप villages में ज्यादा देखते हैं क्योंकि छोटा एरिया होता है, वहां पंचायत है, वहां लोगों का कंट्रोल है दूसरे पर. So there is more citizen participation, but you don't see that in urban areas. In fact, one of the drawbacks of an urban area or a smart city is the dehumanization effect. It's called the dehumanization effect. Dehumanization effect का क्या मतलब होता है? That you lose touch with other humans around you because you become so automated that you do not reach out to other people in a normal course. So you don't know who your neighbor is. You don't say hello, hi to them. There is no exchange of conversation between two neighbors. And that is what happens in a metro. Everybody is doing whatever they have to do. So it's a kind of an inert system. You don't reach out on a human level. So urban cities or any big area leads to a dehumanization, which is not good for the growth of the society. But that is how it happens. तो e-governance भी होना चाहिए, citizen participation होना चाहिए, फिर sustainable development होना चाहिए या sustainable environment होना चाहिए और फिर safety and security होनी चाहिए. Safety and security of citizens, women and children. And last but not the least, health and education. Doesn't it sound very close to what is inclusive growth? So urban smart cities भी आपको किस तरफ ले जा रही है? It leads you towards inclusive growth. That is why inclusive growth is a very all-pervasive answer. So when you're going to write it, read those questions which have come in the papers previously and try and attempt to write one or two of them. After attempting to write them, send them to me for me to see how well you can write and what points you need to include and what you can safely exclude, because then you will realize the topic has been taught to you in all pervasiveness. उसका reason क्या है? आपको किस वाले सब्जेक्ट पर वो फोकस करके वो क्वेश्चन देंगे वो आपको पता नहीं है. अगर 3-4 साल से लगातार इंक्लूसिव ग्रोथ आपके पास आ रहा है किसी ना किसी फॉर्म में, तो जरूरी नहीं है कि उसी फॉर्म में आपको आएगा, इसलिए हमें तो सब चीज पढ़ानी पड़ेगी. बट व्हेन यू आर गोइंग टू राइट इट रेलेवेंट टू द क्वेश्चन व्हिच इज कम टू यू. So please try to attempt and write a few questions on inclusive growth and send them to me. In fact, after smart cities, आप smart cities का question भी attempt करिए, देखिए आप उसको कितना लिख सकते हैं, तब आपको पता चलेगा that you are on the right path. Now, economic development and sustainable, it is proposed or it is said that in a smart city, the economic development should be on an increasing ratio. मतलब कभी भी ऐसा नहीं होना चाहिए कि जो वो सिटी है वो नेगेटिव में जा रही है, बट ऐसा होता नहीं है because demand and supply get affected. But for a smart city, the demand supply should be balanced. Demand and supply should be balanced. Demand and supply should be balanced. What does that mean? It means that it is market oriented. A smart city needs to be market oriented. Based on successful economic development. On successful economic development. Okay. So what do we need to do? We need to promote cities that provide core infrastructure, give a decent quality of life to people and its citizens, and a clean, sustainable environment with all kind of smart solutions. That is what is being propagated. That for a smart city to happen, these are all its features, and this is how it should take place. So, Smart Cities mission was launched on 25th June 2015. Cities were given 5 years to complete, the first being 2021. But due to the COVID pandemic, they were given an extension. What was the objective of the Smart Cities mission? The objective of the Smart Cities mission was to integrate city functions, utilize scarce resources more efficiently, and improve the quality of life of citizens. Now I am coming to what is the Smart Cities Mission of India 2015 400 cities. तो अब आप इसके ऊपर कीजिए ये सारा क्या स्मार्ट सिटी में होना चाहिए, उसके क्या फीचर्स होने चाहिए, क्या मॉडल्स हैं स्मार्ट सिटीज के वर्ल्ड में, क्या डेफिनेशन है स्मार्ट सिटी की, वो मैंने अभी तक आपको बताया. नाउ वी आर कमिंग टू द स्मार्ट सिटीज मिशन 100. ओके, सो मिशन 100 फॉर स्मार्ट सिटीज. It was launched on 25th June 2015. The idea was to integrate city functions, to integrate city functions, utilize scarce resources, utilize scarce resources more efficiently, and improve the quality of life of the citizens. ये आपका मिशन का ऑब्जेक्टिव था कि आप 100 स्मार्ट सिटीज बनाएंगे जिसमें कि आप इंटीग्रेट करेंगे सिटी के सारे फंक्शंस. क्यों इंटीग्रेट करेंगे? ताकि जो उस शहर के स्केर्स रिसोर्सेज है वो एफिशिएंटली यूटिलाइज हो जाए, और इसको यूटिलाइजेशन से क्या होगा? यू विल इंप्रूव द क्वालिटी ऑफ लाइफ ऑफ द सिटीजन. Improve the quality of life of the citizen. All right. So this is what is the objective of the smart cities. It is an innovation. It is an innovative initiative under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. तो आप कभी भी देखेंगे ना तो ये लिखा रहेगा MOHUA, MOHUA, Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs. This is the ministry at the center, which is implementing the 100 Smart Cities Mission 2015. And it was initially said that we are going to do it for the next 5 years. But in the 5th year, that is in 2021, when it got to be completed in 1920, we got COVID. And so this has now been extended to 2023. And some of the works or some of the schemes which come under the smart cities have gone into phase 2. We will be coming to that later. So under the Ministry of Housing and Urban Affairs, this smart city initiative has been started under MOHUA. And in fact, at that point of time, it was Venkaiah Naidu, who is now the Vice President of India, who's leading this ministry. So you will see his photographs. If you go to the site, you will see his photographs. He said that we are launching the first 20 cities now. Then we will launch another 20 cities. And there's a whole lot of data on that. Then something which I wanted to mention about what was said at that point of time. And he said that we have chosen these cities, and on this site of 100 smart cities, you will find, as soon as you log into it, you will find a whole speed of cities going in front of you. So they're talking about Gwalior, where they have the ICCC, which is your integrated control system, which they put in place, and they've been monitoring COVID. Then they will show you open gyms, and they'll show you open parks, which have come up in a big way. In Calcutta, they will show you the satellite center, which seems to be like a marketplace, but it's shown as centralized. And in some historical places, they will show you how they have done up the pathway to reach the site and all. So this is all available on the 100 mission cities if you want to log in and check. But to tell you, come back to where we were. They say that this initiative is innovative. It is definitely innovative because earlier on, like I said, urbanization was looked down upon in a country like India, and all along it has been haphazard. So at least a first step to have a vision about planned urban development has come into place. Of course, it's old wine in new bottles, but that's fine. That's not an issue at all. We will just look into the details of it. How old is the wine and how new is the bottle? We will go into it again. All right, so smart cities are envisaged to have four pillars. What are the four pillars that they are supposed to have? Smart cities are said to have four pillars. The first pillar which they are supposed to have is a social infrastructure. Supposed to have a social infrastructure. Then there is a physical infrastructure. Then there is called institutional infrastructure. वही जो फीचर्स थे आपने स्मार्ट सिटीज के देखे थे उनको इंफ्रास्ट्रक्चर टर्म्स में जब आप क्लब करेंगे तो ये फोर पिलर्स बन के आएंगे. And then of course they will have an economic infrastructure. So in the four pillars, in all these four pillars, you will add the sustainable pillar. You will add the sustainable pillar. There's an article in the Hindu which has come out in December. I will share the link with you. It talks about climate assessment in smart cities. This is a new concept which they have given in September 2020, in which they emphasize the need of having a climate-based technology for smart cities and climate-based assessment technology, which they're talking of. I will talk about you and I'll share you the Hindu newspaper link also for that. So all of these, when you talk of four pillars, this is the traditional social, physical, institutional, economic, and fifth is your sustainable pillar. So I would make it five pillars. In the literature that I read, it was only talking about four pillars, but the sustainable pillar has definitely been added to this list. Furthermore, what I need to say about that is, they say that as of June 2021, when there was a big virtual meet on this, on 25th June 2021, they said that there are about 5,924 projects which have been tendered. But the earlier data which I have given you is absolutely up to date because it is taken from that site. So this is from a newspaper article. You need to cross-check for yourself which you want to take. Both of them are good enough data. You can choose for yourself. But my advice is that when you are about to take the exam, you go to the site and check it because that is the Government of India data. All right. So they say there are 5,924 projects which have been tendered and 2,665 are fully functional. But what data I had given you earlier is what I would like to go by. They say there are 212 PPP projects. PPP projects worth rupees 24,964 crores, which have been completed or grounded, they don't know. But it says that it has been completed or grounded, they don't know. तो ये डेटा ये छोड़ दीजिए, इसको इसकी कोई रेलेवेंस नहीं है, इसको छोड़ दीजिए. बट ये 212 पीपीपी प्रोजेक्ट्स वाला जो डेटा है इसको आप लेके रखिए. 24,964 crores, ये इतना जो डेटा है ये प्रोजेक्ट्स इंक्लूड करता है जो आइदर कंप्लीटेड है और या ग्राउंडेड है. तो आप उनको जरा सा ध्यान कर लीजिएगा. Alright, further they say that 17 smart cities have put into place what is called the ICCCs. Now, what is the ICCCs? Is your ये important है क्योंकि ये आपका कोविड के बाद आया है. Integrated Command and Control Centers. तो 17 ऐसी सिटीज हैं जहां पे ये ICCCs इम्प्लीमेंट किए गए हैं। इनमें से कई सिटीज का नाम मैं आपको बता दूं, भोपाल, Mumbai, Gwalior. These are some of the cities which have used this ICCs for the purpose of monitoring COVID, the delivery of services, who has tested positive, what is the back tracing for that for the patient, for all that purposes, where the medicine needs to be distributed, where ambulance has to reach, who is in need for counseling, which center is full now, and how many beds are available. That has all been done through this ICCCs, which has existed and come up in 17 cities. So this is actually a very smart and a citizen friendly move. So the ICCs in the countries are there. Now, ICCs further after COVID are also being used for monitoring traffic. So in cities like Mumbai, in cities like Gwalior, they are being used to monitor signal breaking, and congestion in traffic is being taken up by these centers. Now, what are the fallouts for urbanization? There is increasing air pollution, there is congestion of traffic, there is a high density of population, and there is competition regarding the basic essential services. So you have a breakdown of water supply, you have a breakdown in electricity, there is a problem of congestion and housing, of sewage, of waste management. These are, and of course, pollution from from whatever vehicular traffic is running on the road. All those are problems which are associated with urbanization. And there is something also called the Global Smart City Index. अब आप देखिए, आपके जितने भी कार्यक्रम है, जितना भी पेपर 3 में है, सबका कुछ ना कुछ इंडेक्स तो बना ही हुआ है. So there is something called the Global Smart City Index. It's called the Global Smart City Index, and it has been made by the INSEAD Institute in Singapore. INSEAD is a very famous university which teaches you management also in humanities. So we are, the government of India has tied up with the INSEAD Institute for giving us a higher level of management programs. So a lot of railway officers go to INSEAD regularly. And earlier we were going in person, but now of course it is long distance. But ever since this government has come, it has cut down on all foreign kind of training projects. So now very few officers are able to go. But it's a very famous institute. So it has come up with what is called the Global Smart City Index. Now INSEAD plus IMD together have come up with this Global Smart City Index. और इस ग्लोबल स्मार्ट सिटी इंडेक्स के अकॉर्डिंग जो स्मार्टेस्ट सिटी है वो कौन सी है? सिंगापुर. एंड यू टेंड टू थिंक कि जब इंडेक्स ही ग्लोबल इंडेक्स ही स्मार्ट सिटी का सिंगापुर बना रहा है तो इट कैन कम फर्स्ट, बट दैट्स नॉट हाउ इट इज. They have very strict patterns of judging a city and marking a city. So Singapore is a smart city. So that is your first. The other cities they have talked about is Oslo. Oslo is the capital of Norway, and they have talked about Zurich. So correct this. Zurich is at the second place and Oslo is at the third place. So Singapore is first, Zurich is second, and Oslo is third. So according to the Global Smart Cities Index, these are your top 3 smart cities. There are of course many other smart cities, and their data regarding them is all available on the net, but I don't think it will be of much use to you, but still you can have a look. Now, where did the concept of, if you look at the concept of smart cities, where are we right now? So whenever we think of smart cities, we have to think of them in terms of sustainable development goals. So आपकी कौन-कौन सी SDGs involved है इसमें? मैं आपको बताऊं, सबसे पहले आपकी SDG 11 है. जो SDG 11 है वो क्या कहती है? Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient and sustainable. आपको स्मार्ट सिटीज की जो अब परिभाषा है आज के समय की रेलेवेंट जो आपको मिलेगी, क्योंकि ये COP26 अभी हुआ है और इसके फ्रेमवर्क में सारा काम हो रहा है, इसलिए आप SDG गोल को अपने आंसर से जोड़ना कभी मत भूलिएगा for paper 3. I repeat, never forget to link the SDG goals to your answers for paper 3. Now make the 11 point for SDG is make cities and human settlements. Make cities, I will not write the full thing क्योंकि ये तुम्हारे आपको पढ़ना ही है. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. This is your SDG 11. Now you come to SDG 6. What does SDG 6 say? Ensure availability and sustainable management of water and sanitation for all. अब इसी के साथ साथ आप पढ़िए SDG 7. अब SDG 7 आपको क्या कहता है? SDG 7 कहता है ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. Ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable and modern energy for all. So what we are saying is that the SDG 6, 7, 11 has specific mention for the development of smart cities. Of course, the SDG 1, 2 तो poverty reduction है, health for all है, food for all है, वो तो already exist ही करता है. In smart cities, you have these big slums on the verges or on the peripheries of your metro cities, even on the peripheries of small towns, which is not at all conclusive, and it gives you a feeling as though there is nothing smart about our country. But that's besides the point. Of course, SDG goals of poverty reduction are overall important, but SDG 11, 6, and 7 directly are correlated with smart cities. And I repeat, Brazil has done very well on these parameters, and there are other South African countries which have done well. But for SDG 11, they say the European countries are doing much better as compared to the rest of the world. So this is what you should know. Now, to bring growth and development in the country and to improve the quality of life, that is why we are having smart cities, and to ensure efficiency, livability, workability, sustainability, some things which I've talked of before. अब जब अर्बन डेवलपमेंट मिनिस्ट्री ने स्मार्ट सिटीज को आइडेंटिफाई किया तो उन्होंने 24 की एरियाज के डेवलपमेंट की बात करी. ये हम भारत देश की बात कर रहे हैं. उन्होंने कहा कि 24 की एरियाज हैं अर्बन एरियाज में जिसको हमको डेवलप करना है. इन 24 की एरियाज में 3 आर रिलेटेड टू वाटर सप्लाई डायरेक्टली. दे आर रिलेटेड टू वाटर सप्लाई डायरेक्टली. मतलब पानी ही सब कुछ है और पानी इज मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट. दे आर रिलेटेड टू वाटर सप्लाई. पहले तो इन्होंने ये बताया. फिर 7 आर इनडायरेक्टली रिलेटेड. मतलब 24 में से 10 आपके जो की एरियाज फॉर अर्बन डेवलपमेंट है वो रिलेटेड है वाटर से. 7 आर इनडायरेक्टली रिलेटेड टू वाटर. So you can understand how much importance is being given to jal. Har ghar, something like that. Null in each and every house. That is that maxim which the Prime Minister has given. We will just come back to that. Now, mission funding को कैसे किया गया है? ये 100 cities के mission funding को क्या किया गया है? इसमें कहा गया है कि 45% का जो आपका प्राविधान है वो करेगा स्टेट और सेंटर मिलके. स्टेट प्लस सेंटर आपको देगा 45% इसकी फंडिंग करेगा. 45% स्टेट एंड सेंटर करेगा. फिर 21% जो है 21% आपका कन्वर्जेंस और पीपीपी से मिलेगा. कन्वर्जेंस एंड पीपीपी पब्लिक प्राइवेट पार्टनरशिप से मिलेगा 21%. फिर है आपका 5% डेट और लोन से. डेट्स और लोन से आपको मिलेगा 5%. 8% सिटी अपने फंड से करेगी और 7% अदर मीन से करेगी. तो ये ब्रेकअप है इनका लोन का. 45% सेंटर और स्टेट देगा, 21% पीपीपी मिलेगा, 5% डेट और लोन से मिलेगा, 1% from their own funds, and 7% is from the others. Now, what are the areas of development, or how have they configurated the development of an urban area? So there is something called the area development. Then there is something called the urban mobility. Whatever I'm teaching you now is related to the smart cities mission. Please remember that. Then there is something called the water supply plus sewage plus waste management. और ड्रेन्स. ये ब्रॉड एरिया में सरकार पैसे लगा रही है फॉर अर्बन डेवलपमेंट ऑफ एरियाज. तो उसमें एक आपका हो गया एरिया डेवलपमेंट, जब आप पूरा एरिया लेके डेवलप करते हैं. अर्बन मोबिलिटी, जब आप ट्रांसपोर्टेशन में पैसा लगाते हैं. और वाटर सप्लाई, सुएज एंड वेस्ट मैनेजमेंट या ड्रेनेज सिस्टम में व्हेन यू लुक एट द वाटर अवेलेबिलिटी फॉर द सिटीजंस ऑफ दैट सिटी. तो कहते हैं ऐसा कि इनको ओवरऑल इसमें ये 42,000 करोड़ डालेंगे एज पार्ट ऑफ द मिशन. ओवरऑल उतना डालेंगे. अर्बन मोबिलिटी में 34,000 करोड़ डालेंगे और वाटर सप्लाई, सुएज, ड्रेनेज के लिए 30,000 करोड़ डालेंगे, ऐसा वो कहते हैं. अब स्मार्ट सिटीज का मिशन इंप्लीमेंट कैसे होगा? स्मार्ट सिटीज का मिशन होगा इंप्लीमेंट थ्रू, it will be implemented through what is called the special purpose vehicle. अब स्पेशल पर्पस व्हीकल में कौन होगा? सारे बड़े आदमी होंगे उसके उस शहर के. So you will have the chief secretary of the state as a participant, or maybe the state secretary who's the district magistrate of the state. You will have all the treasury officers, the revenue officers of the state who will be a part of that big mobility group. So for example, in Bombay, you have this big committee for urban mobility, where railways are also a participant. So that's how I know that how many sectors are represented there. So you have a lot of people from the Chamber of Commerce who are there. You have the district magistrate there. You have the MP and MLA from that for that particular area. Like this is South Mumbai, who sit on that committee. And then they decide, that this is the course of planning that we have to move forward. Now, special purpose vehicle ki problem kya hai? Ki it reports to what is called the Standing Steering Committee. स्पेशल पर्पस व्हीकल में 8-9 लोग हैं. इसमें जो ऑफिसर्स होते हैं अक्सर ट्रांसफर होते रहते हैं, तो देयर इज नो कंटिन्यूटी एंड दे रिपोर्ट टू द स्टैंडिंग स्टीयरिंग कमिटी. तो जो मिनिस्ट्री ऑफ हाउसिंग एंड अर्बन अफेयर्स है वो ऐसा कहती है कि ये जो स्पेशल पर्पस व्हीकल है वो उनकी बात तो सुनती ही नहीं है, क्योंकि उनको रिपोर्ट नहीं करती है, और ये स्टैंडिंग स्टीयरिंग कमिटी को रिपोर्ट करती है. So the state what is the center trying to say? That any delay in implementation of the project is not because of the center. It is happening because the states are not expediting the work, because that special purpose vehicle is reporting to the state standing steering committee. And that is how it is working. Ab special purpose vehicle ka kya kaam hota hai? The special purpose vehicle is involved in decision making. It is involved in decision making. It is involved in planning. It is involved in project designing. And of course, it is involved in implementation. It is involved in decision making. It is involved in planning. It is involved in project design and its implementation. That is how far it has to go. अब तक कितना काम हो चुका है स्मार्ट सिटीज मिशन में, इसका डेटा आप लिख लीजिए. स्मार्ट रोड्स, स्मार्ट रोड्स कितनी हो चुकी हैं? 60 प्रोजेक्ट्स in 25 cities. All right. Then solar projects, smart solar projects, smart solar projects. This has been done in 17 cities, and there are 27 such projects. 27 such projects in 17 cities. Then smart wastewater projects. Wastewater projects. This has happened in 12, these are 12 projects in 10 cities. 12 projects in 10 cities. Then smart water project. Smart water project. ये आपका स्मार्ट वाटर प्रोजेक्ट कहां पर हुआ है? 38 projects which have been completed in 24 cities. Okay, so they have spoken about the Bhopal ICC's safety and security network and how they are using the cloud-based disaster management and recovery center. तो cloud-based design होती है. Cloud क्या होता है? A cloud is like a Google system जिसमें आप अपना नेटवर्क एक बना लेते हैं और उस नेटवर्क द्वारा आप हर चीज को अलाइन कर लेते हैं या हर चीज को सिक्योर कर लेते हैं. So cloud becomes your data storage area. And from there, all your services are provided. So this is, they say that Bhopal is such an example which has used the cloud technology for efficient disaster management. So हमने smart roads कितने project किए? 60 in 25 cities. Smart solar projects किए 27 in 17 cities. Smart wastewater projects किए 12 projects in 10 cities. And smart water projects किए 38 in 24 cities. You can't remember all of them. You're not expected to remember all of them. And you certainly cannot write all of them. But what you can do is that you can use this information across your page or your answer very smartly. So learn to do that. All right. Now, like I told you, in September 2020, the Ministry of Home Affairs and of Housing and Urban Areas came up with what is called the You've been studying since I think 6:30 or so, and it's 8:45. Shall we continue from here the next time? I will come and check your answers. Or shall we continue? Tell me. Shall we finish this tomorrow now? Or shall we continue? Jaldi bolo. Should I continue to teach? Or shall we do it tomorrow? Aman Kampu to everyone. Then Ramakant kya keh rahe to everyone? Tomorrow. Okay. We do it tomorrow then? So Chandrakant has also said thank you. I can't believe it. You guys are really tired, huh? किसी को स्मार्ट सिटी पसंद नहीं आ रही तो आप स्मार्ट सिटी बनाएंगे कैसे जब आप डिस्ट्रिक्ट मैजिस्ट्रेट बनेंगे? You're supposed to be having this planning in your mind that this is what I'm going to do. आप हमारा future है, so you have to think like that. Anyways, it's not very smart to overburden an already overburdened mind. But next time you decide to bunk a class, think about what I've said. So don't bunk classes. One is that. Two, see the lectures, record, and feel alive and active. Participate with your mind. This isn't just a one-way process. You've got to understand the concept. If you don't, get back to us and say you didn't understand that. We'll come back to you. In whatever way we can make it simple for you, we'll do that. Okay, we'll call it a day. Thank you so much for your time. And we'll finish this tomorrow. But we'll finish it tomorrow early because I will not be free in the night. Okay, thank you so much.